Hi folks, welcome to Delboy's Garage. Now, tonight's task involves wife's Sportster, and what we've decided to do is to rectify a little problem with the foot peg, which I think's been a bit of a design fault on Harley's part. It involves this knuckle that holds the peg itself. You've then got the width of the actual brake pedal, then you've got the bracket that holds the whole lot onto the frame. Kind of add, you end up with this enormous width there, and the foot peg's right on the outside. And what this is causing is a bit of a gap, because as you can see, brake pedal's there, foot ends up like that, and resting most of the time about here, which looks a bit odd. So I just want to put a little heel plate on there. If you look at this side of the bike, you've got black bracket instead of chrome, which is a bit daft but typical, and this casing acts as its own heel plate. It stops the foot going any further in than that, and when you're riding along your foot can tuck nicely in there, and on this side it can't do anything. There's nothing for it to tuck against, so it just drifts right in. Just show you what I mean. Just get it to sit on. Now as you can see, natural foot position ends up potentially as far in as that, but usually, come out a bit, usually that's where you're supposed to be. What this also means is that your knee's waving around, because you've got nothing there to act as a heel plate to just kind of give you a fixed point. So, job tonight is to weld a little heel plate, fabricate a little something to go on here. Also that'll end up painted black, because I'm going to have to grind the chrome off, which is no bad thing, because the other side, as you saw rather daftly, they've painted it black and this side chrome. So that's going to end up black, and that will match it up. Also, the fact that it keeps the foot out here stops the plate, or the foot going in, sorry, and getting burnt trousers and stuff on the exhaust. Got the filter there. If the knee drifts in too far, it can just tap and knock against this. So it just keeps the foot in the right place, so everything's a little bit safer and a little bit more comfortable to ride. So let's see how we get on with that. I got the part off. This is the shaft. That's the foot peg. Normally you have the brake lever there, bracket there, so take that off. That's the thing concerned. We're going to do a little bit of this 3mm plate, scrap. Just going to make some marks, grind back, find out where, then we'll make a template. Don't know, something in a pretty pattern maybe. Let's see what we can do. Just drawing out a template here. Just wanted to cover this a sec. That's the surface there that we're going to weld against, so I need that curvature as the anchor point for the template. So drawing that out, just a quick sort of, if you want to do this kind of thing yourself, just get a divider, give that a kind of how to. There it is, that's the exact width. Just measure that. It was 28mm, 28, 2 14, so 14mm on the old divider compasses. Draw a circle, so that circle is exactly the same, so that will form. I'm going to do a couple of different patterns, just make a pattern now, whatever, something a bit fancy. Going to put the effort in, may as well look good, so let's make a pattern cut. This is when watching Blue Peter comes in handy. There we go. It's a tiny bit smaller than it needs to be, so I can file out the extra. One little heel plate. Now, we transfer to the steel. As you can work out, that's not a cutting disc, it's a grinding disc, but I haven't got a cutting disc, and this is well thick. So that's the basic shape. Now to get it down to a grinded shape. Right, after probably about half an hour of half round filage, grindage, noise and sparks, there it is. And that's going to go, and I picked that, it's roughly, that's kind of the position. If we just kind of rebuild. That's pretty much what we got in mind. That was a little bit hard to do, just loads and loads of half round filing, and that's pretty much the idea. Once it's welded on, I'm just going to curve it back in a little bit because the foot kind of goes that way, not straight back and forth, just for sort of comfort. But that's the idea, so let's get it prepped for welding. That's just about welded. What I've done is piled the weld up, show ya. Lots of weld on the inside and ground it back because I wanted a nice sort of chamfered curve to this. I didn't just want to beat. I can't weld to a standard where that would look like a lovely puddled weld. I'm just not that good yet. But it is penetrated right through, so it's strong. And a test of any weld, that ain't coming off. And it's not a strength part anyway, it's just kind of a little gentle heel part. I'm just going to bend that a little bit now, so I'm just going to heat it first, and then just put a little bend in that so that the heel, because the heel sits as that is on there, the heel of any foot sits slightly at an angle. Your feet are slightly out rather than straight on, so that needs just a little bend that way, just to give it a little bit more comfort, otherwise it's going to dig in the heel there. So let's get some heat into that and just put a gentle bend in it. Try not to let it colour the metal, because that will indicate it's over 600 degrees, and that's too hot because it could destabilise the weld. And I'm going to hold it on itself and not push against the weld. And there it is. I'm going to pick it up. There it is. Just a little curve on the back edge for comfort, rather than it sticking in the heel. Like I said, don't heat it till you colour the metal. Once it gets to orange and then cherry red is 800 degrees, then you carbonise the steel, you destabilise the weld, and it will break off. But that's nice. I'm going to let that cool slowly so that it doesn't go brittle, and that will be a nice strong weld. Then it's time for paintage. Alright, and here we are with pretty much the finished steelwork and fabrication. I'm using this glove because it's still red hot, believe it or not, from the welding and the heatage in order to bend, put that curve in it. That's pretty cool. I'm quite happy with that. It's exactly at the right angle. I've dressed it and cleaned it up as much as I can, so a bit of emery cloth, just get that nice. But I think put a bit of time into it and it's come out quite well. I'm quite happy with it. So you could normally now just put that back on the bike, bit of black paint, jobs are good. But I think I'm going to just get a little bit of filler, because there's some, let me see it, there's some kind of pinholes, sorry, focus. There's some little pinholes from the welding where I've ground it back. It's not a perfect curve, and there's some little bite marks where the grips have gone into it. So I'm just going to finish it really, just going to probably do it in two parts. So this obviously by now you'll have seen is part 1, and I'll do part 2 tomorrow, and part 2 will be the finish. It will be no 8 long part like the last fabrication, and this will be done tomorrow. So I'm just going to get a little bit of filler and sand that, and then get it into primer tonight. So let's crack on. Going to put loads and loads of hardener in that, real hot load, get that to go off real quick. And the part is still really warm, so that will go off quite quick. Okay, going to do this with the fingers. It just isn't enough to start using scrapers. It's just like a stopper more than a filler. Just a thin layer to cover up the little pinholes. Leave that set. There it is. Just a thin layer, just with the finger in there, just to get that nice and smooth, cover up all the welds. Why not make a good job of it? Time to let it dry. Here it is, all sanded back, and now that's ready for a little bit of spray paint. It's going to bung a really thick coat of primer on, and then I can rub the primer back. Again, it acts as a guide coat. In for a penny, in for $1. Try and get that to stand up. Haha, that's clever. Put it there. There we go. Okay. Time for some primer. And there it is, boys and girls. A super thick coat of primer, like a white chalky primer, and that's going to dry overnight. So we're going to call that part 1. By tomorrow I shall come back and finish it off, and it should do the trick. And it's not going to dry in the next 12 or so hours, so I want that nice and hard for tomorrow, so I can just flat that back gently with a nice 800 grit, put a nice thick coat of satin black over that, ready for refitting. Okay, so join me tomorrow for part 2. Thanks for watching Delboy's Garage. See you next time.